The fence post splintered with a resounding crack, wood fragments flying as her fist plowed through the weathered planks. Samantha's chest heaved, eyes wild with rage as she whirled to face her neighbor, Emily. "This is all your fault," she screamed, spit flying. "If you had just kept your damn dog out of my yard, none of this would have happened." Emily took a cautious step back, hands raised placatingly. "Samantha, please, let's just calm down and talk about this." "Talk." Samantha barked a harsh laugh. "The time for talking is over." She clanked the heavy toolbox she brandished, the steel tools within clinking ominously. "Now it's time for action." Emily's eyes widened in alarm, and she began to backpedal hastily. "Samantha, put that down. You don't want to do anything you'll regret." But Samantha was beyond reason, consumed by a red haze of fury. With a guttural snarl, she swung the toolbox, the corner of the metal case catching Emily squarely in the shoulder. The other woman cried out in pain, stumbling as Samantha advanced menacingly. "This is your fault," Samantha bellowed, swinging the toolbox again. "If you just kept your mutt under control, none of this would have happened." Emily ducked the attack, scrambling to put distance between them. "Samantha, stop. I'm calling the police." Samantha paused, chest heaving, eyes narrowing. "Go ahead," she sneered. "Call them. But when they get here, they're going to find you trespassing on my property, and I'll make sure they know exactly what you did to my fence." Emily's face paled, the realization dawning. Samantha's lips curled in a cruel smile, and she raised the toolbox once more. The police cruiser pulled up to the curb, its lights flashing. Officer Donovan stepped out, hand resting on his holster as he surveyed the scene. Samantha stood in the middle of the yard, toolbox at her side, while Emily cowered on the ground, cradling her injured shoulder. "All right, what's going on here?" Donovan demanded, striding towards them. Samantha straightened, expression shifting to one of practiced innocence. "Officer, thank goodness you're here. My neighbor, Emily, was vandalizing my property and assaulting me. I was just defending myself." Emily looked up, eyes pleading. "That's not true. She attacked me without provocation." "Quiet," Donovan barked, silencing her. He turned to Samantha. "Ma'am, can you tell me exactly what happened?" Samantha launched into a carefully crafted narrative, her voice laced with false concern. "Well, officer, I was up here working on my fence when Emily's dog came into my yard and started causing a ruckus. I went over to shoo it away, and that's when Emily came storming over, yelling and cursing at me. She started hitting my fence, and when I tried to stop her, she lashed out and attacked me." She gestured to the damaged wood, the splintered post, and the toolbox. "As you can see, she caused significant property damage. I was simply defending myself and my home when she assaulted me with that toolbox." Donovan frowned, glancing between the two women. Emily opened her mouth to protest, but Samantha shot her a quelling look. "Is this true, ma'am?" Donovan asked, turning to Emily. Emily hesitated, then deflated, the fight draining from her. Yes, officer. That's what happened." Donovan nodded, expression grim. "All right. Well, I'm going to have to place you under arrest for vandalism and assault." Emily's head snapped up, eyes wide with dismay. "What? No, you can't." "I can, and I am," Donovan interrupted, pulling out his cuffs. "You're coming with me." As he led Emily away, Samantha watched with a triumphant gleam in her eye. Her lips curved in a cold, cruel smile. The courtroom was heavy with tension as Emily stood before the judge, her lawyer by her side. Samantha sat in the gallery, her gaze unwavering and her expression impassive. The judge cleared his throat, adjusting his spectacles as he reviewed the case file. "Ms. Emerson, you're being charged with vandalism and assault. How do you plead?" Emily's lawyer stepped forward, his voice firm. "Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty. The events that day were not as they seem." The judge raised a skeptical brow. Elaborate, counselor. The lawyer took a deep breath. Your Honor, the truth is that Ms. Emerson was the victim, not the aggressor. My client has ample evidence to prove that Samantha Wilkins was the one who instigated the confrontation and caused the damage to the fence. Samantha's eyes narrowed, and she leaned forward, her fingers gripping the wooden bench. The lawyer continued, witness statements, photographic evidence, and even security footage from a nearby home all corroborate Emily's version of events. Samantha Wilkins fabricated her story in order to have my client arrested and charged. The judge looked from the lawyer to Samantha, a frown creasing his brow. If this is true, Ms. Wilkins, then you could be facing perjury charges. Do you have any evidence to counter the defense's claims? Samantha rose, her chin lifted defiantly. Your Honor, I stand by my original statement. Emily Emerson trespassed on my property and deliberately destroyed my fence. I was simply defending myself and my home. The judge studied her for a long moment, then turned to the bailiff. Bring in the video evidence. As the courtroom fell silent, the footage played on the large screen. It clearly showed Samantha instigating the confrontation, swinging the toolbox and striking Emily. The judge's expression grew graver with each passing second. When the video ended, he fixed Samantha with a stern gaze. Ms. Wilkins, it appears your account of events was less than truthful. I'm dismissing the charges against Ms. Emerson and ordering you to pay for the damages to her property. Samantha's face contorted with fury, but the judge's decision was final. As Emily breathed a sigh of relief, Samantha stormed from the courtroom, her defeat bitter and humiliating. Samantha paced her living room, fuming. How dare that judge side with Emily? She had crafted the perfect plan, and it had all fallen apart. That damned video footage had ruined everything. She paused, running a hand through her hair in frustration. There had to be a way to turn this around, to get back at Emily for daring to defy her. Her lips curled into a cruel smile as an idea began to form. Striding to the phone, she quickly dialed a number. After a few rings, a gruff voice answered. Yeah, what is it? Jimmy, it's Samantha. I need a favor. There was a pause, then Jimmy chuckled. Well, if it isn't my favorite troublemaker. What kind of trouble are you in this time? Samantha explained the situation, her voice low and urgent. I need you to do something about Emily Emerson. She's made a fool of me, and I won't stand for it. Jimmy let out a low whistle. Whoa, hold on there, Sam. That's a pretty big request. What exactly did you have in mind? I don't care what you do, just make sure she pays for what she's done, Samantha hissed. Vandalize her property, sabotage her car, I don't care. Just make her life a living hell. There was another pause, and Samantha could practically hear the gears turning in Jimmy's head. That's a risky proposition, Sam. You sure you want to go down that road? I'm sure, Samantha growled. This is personal now. No one makes a fool of me and gets away with it. Jimmy sighed. All right. I'll see what I can do. But you owe me big time for this, you hear? Just do it, Samantha snapped and hung up the phone. She stood there, a triumphant gleam in her eye. Emily Emerson was about to learn a very painful lesson. The next morning, Emily awoke to a strange sound coming from her driveway. Frowning, she peered out the window and gasped in horror. Her car, a reliable old sedan she had owned for years, was sitting on cinder blocks, the tires nowhere to be seen. Scrambling into her robe, she rushed outside, her heart pounding. What the? She exclaimed, staring at the vandalized vehicle in disbelief. A sudden movement caught her eye, and she whirled around to see a neighbor, Mr. Johnson, standing in his yard, a sympathetic expression on his face. I saw the whole thing, Emily, he called out. Some men showed up in the middle of the night and stripped your car. Didn't look like they were being very careful, either. Emily's stomach twisted with dread. Do you know who they were? Mr. Johnson shook his head. I'm afraid not. but I overheard them mention the name Samantha a few times. Emily's face paled. Samantha? She whispered, her hands trembling. Of course it was her. After the trial, Samantha had promised to make her pay. Steeling herself, Emily marched back inside and grabbed her phone, quickly dialing the police. As she waited for them to answer, a surge of determination washed over her. Enough was enough. Samantha had gone too far, and Emily was determined to put a stop to her vindictive campaign once and for all. When the operator finally answered, Emily's voice was steady and resolute. Yes, hello. I'd like to report a case of vandalism. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity for Emily. Between filing the police report, dealing with her insurance company, and getting her car towed and repaired, she felt like she was constantly on the move. But through it all, one thought kept nagging at the back of her mind: Samantha. She knew the woman was behind the vandalism, and she was determined to put a stop to her relentless campaign of harassment. After much deliberation, Emily decided to take matters into her own hands. She gathered all the evidence she could: the police report, the security footage from her neighbor's home, and any other documentation she could find, and headed straight to Samantha's door. Steeling herself, Emily rang the doorbell and waited. When Samantha finally answered, her expression quickly shifted from surprise to a sly, calculating smile. Emily, she purred, what a pleasant surprise. To what do I owe the honor of this visit? Emily didn't mince words. Cut the act, Samantha. I know you're behind the vandalism on my car, and I'm here to put a stop to it. Samantha feigned innocence, her eyes widening in an exaggerated display of concern. Vandalism? Goodness, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've been here all week, minding my own business. Don't give me that, Emily snapped, her patience wearing thin. I have evidence, Samantha. The police are already involved, and if you don't stop this harassment, I'll be taking you to court again. Samantha's facade cracked, and a flicker of rage flashed across her features. You think you can threaten me, Emily? I won't be bullied by the likes of you. This isn't a threat, Samantha, Emily said firmly. It's a promise. Back off, or you'll regret it. With that, she turned and stalked back to her car, leaving Samantha seething on her doorstep. It was a small victory, but Emily knew the battle was far from over. The following weeks were a tense and uneasy time for both Emily and Samantha. Emily remained vigilant, constantly on the lookout for any sign of further retaliation from her neighbor. Samantha, on the other hand, seethed with resentment, her pride still wounded from the courtroom defeat. Then, one day, disaster struck. Emily came home to find her beloved garden in ruins. The carefully tended flowers and vegetables were trampled, the once lush greenery now a devastated mess. And in the center of the destruction, a small sign stood, boldly declaring, "Trespassers will be prosecuted." Fury and despair washed over Emily as she surveyed the damage. She knew, without a doubt, that Samantha was behind this latest act of sabotage. Trembling with emotion, Emily rushed inside and dialed the police. By the time the officers arrived, she had gathered all the evidence she could: photos of the destroyed garden, the threatening sign, and even a few strands of what appeared to be long, dark hair. The police listened to her account, their expressions grim. "This is a serious matter, ma'am," the officer said. "We'll need to investigate further, but based on the evidence, it seems your neighbor is the prime suspect." Emily nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "I just want this to stop. Samantha needs to be held accountable for what she's done." The officer placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry, ma'am. We'll get to the bottom of this. In the meantime, I'd suggest installing some security cameras around your property, just in case." As the officers left, Emily stared at the ruined garden, her heart heavy with grief and determination. This war with Samantha had gone on long enough. It was time to end it, once and for all. In the days that followed, Emily worked tirelessly to repair the damage to her garden, all the while keeping a vigilant eye on her property. She had installed several high-quality security cameras, determined to catch Samantha in the act should she dare to strike again. Her efforts paid off sooner than she had expected. One night, the motion-activated cameras captured a figure slinking through the shadows, a can of gasoline in hand. Emily's heart raced as she watched the footage, her suspicions confirmed. Without hesitation, she contacted the police, providing them with the incriminating video evidence. Within an hour, officers were knocking on Samantha's door, ready to make an arrest. Samantha's face was a mask of fury and panic as the officers handcuffed her and read her the charges: vandalism, property damage, and attempted arson. As she was led away, she shot a venomous glare at Emily, who stood by with a grim expression. "This isn't over, Emerson," Samantha spat. "You'll pay for this, mark my words." Emily watched as the police car drove away, carrying her neighbor to the station. A sense of relief and triumph washed over her, but she knew that the battle had taken a heavy toll. The months of harassment and fear had left their mark, both emotionally and financially. As she turned to survey the remnants of her garden, Emily sighed deeply. It would take time and effort to restore it to its former glory, but she was determined to do so. This was her home, her sanctuary, and she would not let Samantha's vindictive actions ruin it. With a renewed sense of purpose, Emily set to work, knowing that the worst was finally behind her. Samantha would face the consequences of her actions, and Emily could finally reclaim the peace and tranquility she had once known.